Hi, everyone. Welcome to Teachly University and to my lecture, Skin in the Game How to Use Risk to Your Advantage. Welcome to this lecture. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think after watching this lecture, you're really going to have a better appreciation for risk taking. And you might take some more calculated risks in your own life after watching this. At least I hope so, anyway. And like with every lecture, I'm going to start with a quote. And this is from Nassim Taleb, who is a former hedge fund manager and statistician. And this quote is from his book, Skin in the Game Hidden Asymmetries in Daily Life, where he says, "For studying courage in textbooks doesn't make you any more courageous than eating cow meat makes you bovine. By some mysterious mental mechanism, people fail to realize that the principal thing you can learn from a professor is how to be a professor. And the chief thing you can learn from, say, a life coach or inspirational speaker is how to become a life coach or inspirational speaker." So remember, the heroes of history were not classicists and library rats, those people who live vicariously in their texts. They were people of deeds who had to be endowed with a spirit of risk taking. Awesome quote by Talib, because I think he really stresses the importance of why it is we admire are inspired by heroes, whether they're heroes from literature or Greek mythology or fictional characters or real life heroes, say like with Abraham Lincoln. We admire our heroes because they were willing to take action and take risks for worthwhile goals, where they were willing to risk their careers, their reputations, even their lives for something important. And I think there's something very profound about that. And I think that's why so many of us gravitate and admire heroes. But I think when it comes to risk taking, however, a lot of us have this bad view of risk taking where a lot of people equate it to reckless or irrational behavior. And that's not the risk taking that I'm talking about. The risk taking I'm talking about is that in order to achieve a worthwhile goal, to get desired results in business or in your personal life or social life, it requires a certain amount of risk taking. Because to use the phrase, without risk, there is no reward. Without making mistakes, without having skin in the game and taking ownership of your actions in the process of achieving worthwhile goals, then it becomes much more difficult to live a full life and get desired results. And in the next clip, I'm going to show a clip of Steve Jobs, who made a speech at MIT back in the early 1990s. It's a 2-minute clip, and we're going to watch this now.
I mean, you guys, most of you come from companies where you've had work experience, right? How many of you are from manufacturing companies? Oh, excellent. Where are the rest of you from? Oh, how many from consulting? Oh, that's bad. You should do something. No, seriously, I don't think there's anything inherently evil in consulting. I think that without owning something over an extended period of time, like a few years, where one has a chance to take responsibility for one's recommendations, where one has to see one's recommendations through all action stages and accumulate scar tissue for the mistakes and pick oneself up off the ground and dust oneself off, one learns a fraction of what one can. You're coming in and making recommendations and not owning the results, not owning the implementation, I think is a fraction of the value and a fraction of the opportunity to learn and get better. And so what you do get a broad cut at companies, but it's very thin. It's like a picture of a, I could use, I'm a vegetarian, so I won't use steak, but it's like a picture of a banana. You might get a very accurate picture, but it's only two-dimensional. And without the experience of actually doing it, you never get three-dimensional. So you might have a lot of pictures on your walls. You can show it off to your friends. You can say, look, I've worked in bananas, I've worked in peaches, I've worked in grapes, but you never really taste it. And I think that's what I think. You're also a variable expense, and in hard times you find yourself.
So that's a great speech by Jobs. The entire speech is also on YouTube as well. I believe it's about a little over an hour or so. But one thing that really stood out in that 2-minute clip by Jobs is three-dimensional thinking. And what did he mean by three-dimensional thinking? Well, I think we can break that down between either linear thinking or nonlinear thinking. And linear thinking is really based on cause and effect. You do something in anticipation of a desired result. So there's certain processes and action steps that you take where there's a pretty good chance a desired result is going to occur. And there is, linear thinking does have its place, obviously, in engineering and in other fields where linear thinking has its place, where when you do something, a certain result or it will occur when you engage in a specific process. The problem is, however, when it comes to complex systems and human interactions, and this is something I discuss a lot about, especially in my lecture on speculation, which I'm going to add the link to the video description. The world is not so linear because you can do everything right and you can do everything correctly, or so you think you're doing everything correctly, and not always get the desired result that you want. It's very difficult to predict. And oftentimes there's that gray area in prediction where we just don't know when a desired result will happen. And that's where nonlinear thinking has its place, where that it's about making connections with the known in order to navigate the unknown. And I think that's what Jobs was talking about when it comes to three-dimensional thinking. When you make these connections with the world around you by mixing and combining different ideas and images and sounds in a subconscious level, where your brain is really operating through this imaginative process that's underneath your awareness, where we have these aha moments where all of a sudden this idea comes out of nowhere. That's where nonlinear thinking really comes into play. And risk-taking comes into play, because in order to have these aha moments, these revelations that can really make a profound impact in your life, it requires a certain level of risk-taking and nonlinear thinking when you don't know when a desired result is going to occur. However, that doesn't mean that risk-taking doesn't have its place in that. It requires really being able to take action and learn from your mistakes. And when you learn from your mistakes and you embrace that, that's where that three-dimensional nonlinear thinking really begins to take shape. And that's when you can make new observations and create new ideas that, when you take action on them, can increase the probability of success. And in some ways, you're rolling the dice. You're taking a chance. And without chance, life becomes boring in a way. There's no thrill. There's no that three-dimensional world that Jobs was talking about. We need to have that chance, a little bit of risk. And without risk, I think life becomes really just rather dull. And to quote Edward Thorp, who is also a hedge fund manager and a mathematician, also an expert blackjack player, especially when it comes to card counting, he says that in the abstract, life is a mixture of chance and choice. Chance can be thought of as the cards you are dealt in life. Choice is how you play them. I choose to investigate blackjack. As a result, chance offered me a new set of unexpected opportunities. When you embrace chance, when you embrace risk-taking, when you embrace nonlinear thinking and learn from your mistakes, you create that three-dimensional thinking where you're not just worried about the seen, but you're also looking at what you can't see. Because every great innovation, invention, or all of the products and services that we get to enjoy today is a result of an idea that wasn't necessarily seen. It was just started as an idea in the mind, and then that individual or group took actions to bring that idea to life, and that required risk-taking. So to achieve desired results in our business and social lives, it requires learning how to manage, accept, and take enough calculated risks to increase the probability of success. It's sort of that rolling the dice in a way. It doesn't mean being reckless or blowing all your savings or doing things that can harm others or yourself, but it's knowing how to manage, accept, and take enough risks where that even though if you lose, you can still stay in the game and you can still take action and get back in the playing field, put skin in the game, and eventually achieve success. And failure should not be looked at as failure. Rather, it should be interpreted as moving one step closer to achieving a desired outcome. Again, really powerful. We should not be afraid of failure. We should not be afraid of failure. And really, because The reason is that I think with risk taking, there is a paradox. And in fact, I think if you play it safe, you're actually taking more of a risk than if you actually were to pursue a worthwhile goal or a dream or something you've always wanted to do. Because there's nothing worse than living a life frustrated because based out of unfulfilled desires. There's a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson who said that most people live quiet lives of desperation. Most people live quiet lives of desperation. And the reason for that is because we're not taking enough risk. We're not taking enough chances. And really, when it comes to failure and risk, there are certain risks involved with pursuing our goals. Sometimes it could be financial loss. Maybe you make an investment and you lose some money in a stock or in a business. Ridicule, maybe you stand up for what you believe in. You stand up to somebody that you don't agree with what they're saying, and you can be ridiculed and maybe thrown out of a group. It could be the ending of a relationship. Maybe, again, you take a risk by speaking out, and at the end, unfortunately, a romantic relationship or a friendship could end. Could be losing a job, where maybe you decide to leave your job because you're just not happy there anymore. You're taking a risk. Regardless, there is risk involved with living life. It takes courage to live life. And it's knowing how to manage risks and accept them, but use that to our advantage so that at the end, we increase the probability of success. And again, to coin the phrase, without risk, there is no reward. So if you like this video, just hit the subscribe button and visit my website at teachilluniversity.com. We give you all my lectures and courses. And if you have any questions, you can just contact me through my website and also subscribe to my email list so you can get updates on my latest courses and news and events related to Teach University. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.